Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today y Mañana. I'm Alex. This is Michael joining me this morning because Xavier has a busy morning with him. So Michael is here, which I always love.
He has a busy morning, but so do we today.
So do we, because we have a nice packed house here on Today y Mañana with 4 fantastic guests that we have lined up for you. We're going to be joined shortly by Amanda Welch. She's the owner of Grubby Girl Soaps, followed by Eugene Richardson and Justin Tooley from the Gym CVille. And last but not least, Jeff Kamrath from Aqua CVille Hand Car Wash.
Yeah, so we have a unique set of guests today.
Exactly, very true. 3 very different entrepreneurs, but they're all passionate about what they do. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be fantastic to talk with them and learn just more about their businesses and what you can gain from patronizing these local small businesses. So it's a lot in store. Be sure to like and share. We always love being here on the I Love CVille Network set. Always presented by Emergent Financial Services and powered by Castle Hill Cider, by our friends Miguel and Chit from Sirius Craddock Insurance, by the Gym CVille, by Aqua CVille Hand Car Wash, by our friend Johan Torres at GBS Financial Services, and we are always with Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville, Virginia. So
you really get through that so well now. I feel like I'm listening, like you ever watch like the Fox Sports and like the Joe Bugs, like they have to constantly do that. You get to the point where it's just seamless now.
One day I'll even be able to do like play-by-play. And here coming up is Justin. He's running into the seat. He's almost there, and he's down in the seat. So
like one of like those hockey podcasts, those guys are the best. They talk so fast.
They talk so fast, and they know all the names.
Exactly.
It really is amazing. Just a quick shout out to we already got some people watching the show today. Thank you, Mandy LD, for watching the show this morning. Thank you, Adriana Cordero Jambanco, for watching the show. I know Adriana watching all the way from Staten Island, New York this morning. So we have guests as far as New York. I mean, we've even had international in the past guests that have watched our show. So thanks so much for joining us this morning, everyone. I don't know about you, Michael, but I'm ready to.
Yeah,
I say we get right to it. I'm too excited to wait any longer.
Exactly.
So we're really excited to welcome to the show this morning Amanda Welch. She is the owner of Grubby Girl Soaps. Amanda, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, for those who don't know you or aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started Grubby Girl Soaps.
Well, I started because I wanted to do something from the farm, and I already had an apiary, I had bees, and I was doing the honey with the bees, and I had a garden, and I wanted to do something I could take to the farmer's market, but wouldn't necessarily would have a shelf life as well. Mm-hmm. And for holidays, our family always likes to do something homemade. So I started making soap one time, and for Christmas, like 25 years ago. And the first batch did not turn out great, but I gave it for Christmas anyway. Mm-hmm. And then I honed my recipe over several years and started making, and really enjoyed the process. It was a lot like cooking, but and chemistry. So I use products from the farm in my soaps. I use the honey in some of my soaps. I use produce that I grow and herbs from either my farm or neighboring farms. And a few years ago, I started partnering with Caramount Farms, and I used their goat milk in some of my soaps as well. So I have really 2 different kinds of soaps that I make now, goat's milk and a Castile soap. So that's how I got started in it. And then I did the farmer's market for years, and my main job is a gardener. So I was trying to get something I could transition from the physical work of gardening into something different. And so I was trying to grow my soap business. I took the CIC course.
Oh. Fantastic.
I'm friends at CIC.
Yep, I'm a big fan. I'm privileged to be on the board of CIC, so I love that organization.
Yeah. So I did that. I was in Lee Elberson's class.
Yes,
Lee.
He's a friend of the program. He's a friend of the program.
So that taught me the vocabulary I needed. I had gone through some other programs that didn't really work for me because they were always like, what are your projections? What's your budget? What's your, and I was like, how do you figure out the cost basis of bees? Like, I can't be like, your quota is, and expect them to meet it. Yeah. So I learned a lot at CIC. And so I did rebranding, and I got better marketing materials, and then have been growing the business since then.
That's fantastic. And I'm curious, I know just last week when I mentioned, actually it was even Tuesday when I mentioned that you were going to be on, Jerry Miller knows, where did she think of that name? Because it's such an interesting and fun name for the company.
Well, I normally do look like a grubby girl because I am a gardener for a living, so I'm usually pretty disgusting. So, and I usually come up with all my ideas for the names as I'm gardening because it's a kind of meditative thing. And so that's where I came up with it.
It's very clever, very clever. And just, I love the idea because I was going to ask you, what's unique about like the soaps and stuff, but I love the idea that so much of the ingredients is, not just local, but extremely local. Literally
from your backyard.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, that was really important to me to incorporate the farm into it. And also, many commercial soaps have a lot of chemicals in them. They aren't actually soap. They're like detergent. So this is, it's an ancient process of making soap. It's a chemical reaction that happens between lye and oils at a certain temperature. And then you can add whatever you want to them to make them more, do different things. Like I have different scents and different additives, like oatmeal in some of them, or the goat's milk is a good moisturizing additive to the soaps. Honey is good at attracting moisture to your skin. So there's all kinds of things that are in the soap that are really good for your skin, and they're very gentle. The other reason I really got into doing soaps is I have very sensitive skin, so I can't use any highly fragranced or highly additive products. So that was the other reason that I've started doing it. And so they're mild, they're good for most people's skin types.
And interesting, so before you come up with a new soap idea, do you kind of do research into what sort of ingredients could help? Like, for example, you mentioned goat's milk moisturizing and honey, all that stuff. Do you research into that? And then it's like when you come up with these, or are you sort of like gardening and then just sort of spontaneous?
It's a little bit of both. Like, I know that oatmeal is soothing for your skin, so I make an oatmeal soap that has honey in it as well, which is also soothing and moisturizing. I have a lavender soap that's relaxing. I have a soap that I came up with that is actually my most popular soap that really seems kind of weird. It's coffee, orange, and clove.
Coffee, orange.
Yeah, and it's actually got coffee grounds in it, which are exfoliating and are said to be cellulite reducer as well. So that one's called City Slicker. I don't know if you can see these on
City Slicker. Now we know why it's selling so fast. City Slicker, that's a great name.
And that is my most popular because I think the fragrance is really nice. That orange and clove and coffee kind of scents are really uplifting. Also, they're kind of energizing.
Yeah, exactly, the citrus I always find to like really energize and make you feel, more awake.
Right.
Yeah. And coffee in the morning, let's be honest, people love that smell of coffee in the morning. It really gets them going. So.
Exactly. So that one's been really popular. And then I started doing the goat's milk soaps. And the one that I started with is this, I call it Best Day Ever. Because this is actually a picture of Gail when she was a kid. And when we were talking about me incorporating her milk into my soaps, she said, "This is a picture of my best day ever." I'm like, "Well, that's the name of the soap."
There you go.
And it can set you up for a great day. It's got cedar and lemongrass in it, so it's a really. It reminds me of the kind of sense of her farm.
Woodsy. I'm getting like a woodsy vibe from that.
Exactly, and also the citrus is uplifting as well.
Yes,
that's fantastic.
I was actually going to mention the pictures because I remember looking online. I was like, these pictures give me like such a 50s, 60s feel of like I feel like I'm going into exactly like a 50s not thrift store. What we used to call those kind of like little stores that people would
general
have.
Store.
General stores. Yeah. Like little general store, little boxes of soap. I was curious where you got the pictures from.
They're actually all, other than the picture of Gail and her grandmother, these are all pictures that my grandfather took back in the 30s and 40s.
Wow.
So, and he was a really good photographer. And I do like that. I do think that the nostalgic feeling of them, of having like handmade soap and, that kind of vibe all kind of goes together with my products.
It does.
It definitely does.
It creates a good feeling. And I noticed you have some other products there that they looked a little different instead of a bar. I'm curious.
Well, so I started with the soaps, and then I moved on to some other things. So I make a bath salts, this is the lavender one. It's really relaxing. It's Epsom salts and sea salt and lavender. And I get my lavender from my neighbor at Forest Green Farm out in Louisa. They have a great herb farm out there. And then I have the honey from my hives, which is raw, natural honey. This is the first of this year's crop. Higher?
That sounds
Yeah.
fantastic.
And then
Judah's like, I want to see that. I want to see that one.
and then I have make oils, like they're massage oils or bath oils, or you can use them instead of a lotion. I like it better than a lotion because I feel like lotions kind of sit on top of your skin, and oils really penetrate. And these are very light, and they absorb quickly, and they feel great on your skin.
That's fantastic. I love the idea also of the Epsom salts. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
It makes it a very relaxing time.
Yeah, I have 3 varieties of bath salts, and I have 4 different kinds of oils. They're all the same. The salts are each one's a little bit different. The oils are all the same base oil. It's a blend of sunflower and grapeseed oil, but they have different scents. And then I also use the beeswax from my hives, and I make lip balm with it.
From beeswax.
And it's beeswax, shea butter, and a little bit of my oil in it. And it's got a rosemary and sage scent to it. And I make a lotion bar with that as well, which is like a bar of lip balm. So it's great for like rough, dry hands or elbows or feet, and it smells great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the idea that it's items that you kind of always know about, and you're like, oh yeah, I need this at this time of year, especially in the winter. I need this, or I need some
Winter.
soap. But I love the idea of like you can get it where all the ingredients are just so natural, so locally sourced. I know, it applies definitely to honey. I've heard that like there's a benefit to local honey for those of us with allergies that you can't get elsewhere. But I completely believe that there's also a benefit to just having really local ingredients that when you're talking about things that you're putting on yourself, like things that are touching and coming into contact with your body, you want to know that this is from right here and nothing strange or chemical has been done to it.
Well, if you care about what you put in your body, you should for sure care about what you put on your body, because your skin is your largest organ. So
it's absorbing so much.
It absorbs everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so great to hear how, like Alex was saying, local, and also just to be all natural. Like, we're very anti-chemical, our family, so it's like we're always monitoring what's the ingredients. Okay, you're seeing this sort of crazy chemical name. You're like, what is this? Right? It's so nice to actually see soaps, bath salts, honey, and oils that just pure nature and local. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and on the honey side, raw local honey is really good for allergies, because like my honey, I just strain it and bottle it. So it's got some of the pollen grains in it, and that's basically like inoculating you against the pollens that you might be allergic to.
It's like a allergy vaccine of sorts.
There you go.
Take a little bit of the pollen just where your body doesn't react crazy.
Like those
there.
movies where they like slowly train themselves to be immune from poison.
Yes.
Exactly. I can slowly train
Not as
myself.
drastic, but the same concept.
And a lot tastier.
Exactly. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what's been the experience for you as an entrepreneur, as someone who went through like the CIC class? Some of the challenges, some of the joys that you've experienced, like transitioning from something that you just started doing out of an enjoyment to, hey, I'm going to do a business out of this.
It was a business. It just wasn't organized or really making any money before I did CIC. And it taught me how to, really focus on that part of it and growing it. And I was getting to the point right before the pandemic where I was really going to go big, and that kind of put a stop to everything. But it actually made me pivot more to doing what I've really always wanted to do, which is wholesale, and not as much direct selling at markets and at festivals and stuff. So I'm focused more on that. I go through it. There's a distributor that I go through. It does garden centers around the country, and I have them in some local stores here, and I have my website. And then I do the holiday market and at the Charlottesville City Market downtown.
Excellent.
So, and I will do, if you order on my website, I will deliver to Charlottesville.
Oh, as well. That's fantastic. So, Matt, so this is a local business that's selling even beyond just locally.
Yeah, I have some stores in like I have one store in Idaho, and
That's amazing.
yeah, it's kind of wild.
That's well done. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You love to hear that when you're like, okay, because that's what I
really
love.
expanding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What I love is that's taking revenues from the country and sort of bringing it back to Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Which can then just help the local community.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So, in some local stores,
Yes.
People can find your products. Where else can people find you?
Well, I'm in CVille Arts on the mall here, at Forest Green Farm out in Louisa. I'm at Noon Whistle Pottery in Standardsville, and I'm at Polly's Folly down 29 North towards Albemarle Cidery, down that way.
Fantastic.
And then at the holiday market, I'll definitely be there. And I'm doing an event in July with Beyond Fitness with Sabrina. She's doing a Women's Empowerment Day.
Yes.
And I'll be
Another
at
great
that.
CIC
Yeah.
grad.
Yeah, she's awesome. And then on my website,
And so, what's the website? Where can people find your website?
grubbygirl.com.
Oh, extremely easy.
Yeah.
Grubbygirl.com. You're also on Facebook.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
So yeah,
TikTok, all the things.
places you can literally click it. We've tagged you on the promo for today's show, so people can literally click that from there, get to the website, and
Awesome.
just see and enjoy these amazing products and delivery to Charlottesville.
Yeah,
So I mean, it can't get any easier or better than that.
great.
Amanda, it has been such a pleasure.
Thank you
so
guys
much.
so
Thank you so
much.
much for
So nice to
coming
meet
on.
you.
That was
Thank you,
wonderful
and
to
for
meet you.
sharing these
Yeah.
wonderful products with us. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. That's fantastic. And as we do the swap here, just a shout out to Danny O'Day watching the show this morning. Thanks, Danny, for joining us this morning. And had a lot. Just always love the audience participation
Yes.
and communication there. As we go ahead and swap-a-roo, and we're going to get Justin and Gene in here. Justin next to me, Gene next to Michael over there. Just the beauty of local business and passion is just something that
It is.
so refreshing to see.
Yeah, and I was very excited to see that because I'm very old-fashioned. I'm into like 50s and 60s music and era
Yep.
kind of thing, and that I looked at that, and you exactly knew what first I was thinking of. Like one of those 50s, 60s general stores. You jumping in, getting the jawbreaker, and then you're seeing the bars of soap. And then
Exactly.
your mom's gonna get it and stick it in your mouth when you say some bad word. Kind of stuff.
That's really the old days.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, just the passion is great, and I know we're transitioning from one person who's passionate about their local business to two other guys
Two
that I
others,
know are
yes.
both very passionate
Maybe a
about
little
what
bit.
they do. Maybe just a little bit passionate about what they do. We're really excited to welcome to the show Gene Richardson. He's a trainer and gym manager at the Gym CVille, as well as Justin Tooley, head trainer at the Gym CVille. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us
Yes,
this
thank
morning.
you.
Thank
Coming
you.
on.
Thanks for having us.
It's fantastic to have you back, Justin, and Gene to have you on for the first time. And since this is your first time on Today in Mañana, I was curious, tell us a little bit about your experience and how you came to join the gym team.
Oh boy. So I used to be a history teacher, and I could probably make a long story really long, but I'll try to make it short. Basically, my family, we decided to move up to Virginia from Florida, and we were looking for mountains, we were looking for 4 seasons. Charlottesville fit the bill. My
Absolutely.
wife was a pediatric nurse, so VA hospital was very attractive. Everything was just ticking the boxes, and then, once she got the job, I'm like, all right, where do I go? And so I started researching gyms and looked at Justin's profile, read it, and I'm like, wow, I can learn a lot, and this seems to be a place that I can thrive. And the phone call, I think, was just very
From day one.
Yeah,
Yeah, from day
just
one.
we
Be
clicked
real.
on the phone.
Yeah.
So just coming up here, coming to the gym, visiting, seeing it, just seeing how friendly Justin is, and even the members, very welcoming. So I felt at home real quick.
That's awesome. It's fantastic when there's that connection between people that join a team of a small business. Because that's really what I think makes small businesses and entrepreneurship tick, is when you've got that team that comes together and they can do so much more together than they ever could have done separately.
Yeah. And you grow so much, or it really allows you to really be able to capitalize on what skill sets you have not been able to use, because you have been wearing so many of the hats. And so it's been such a big blessing having him come in and literally be able to toe the line and then some. And I mean, I kind of have a high expectation. And I used to think maybe this is unrealistic. Maybe I should lower my standard, and that's not been the case. And so to have somebody come in and be able to take the baton and go full steam ahead and kind of see the vision and share that same passion and bring a totally different set of skills to the table that I feel like it only complements me in what we do. It makes it even better. It's like we're on the floor together, and he's got a group and I got a group, and we can just intermix and intertwine, and it's just like a flawless, like chaotic craziness, but it's so orchestrated. And and so to be able to have somebody to come in and be able to vibe right out the gate like that and then also to the members, they were super receptive, as they always are, but you can generally tell in a short period of time of what their feel or what their vibe is with your tribe, and everybody was just like, he's great, he's good, I like him, this is good. I don't like doing what he teaches me, but I know it's good for me. And I'm like, that's exactly what we need.
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's been really good. Yeah.
So what are some of the new, I know this is some great programming at the gym this spring. I mean, Mandy was sending us the calendar, and I was like, wow, there's so many great events. So tell us a little bit about what's exciting you on the program for
everything. There's so many new things. And like I said, as Gene's been able to come in and step up and help kind of run the show, it's really allowed us to kind of step back and start to reevaluate the business and like what we need to breathe some new life into. And as she was saying, Amanda was saying about COVID, and we were really rocking and rolling. Once that happened, it was a kick in the crotch. It was no good. It was like, and so now we're kind of starting to refine our identity, but not just that, but also figuring out how to navigate people and how to get them to come back out and be safe, feel safe and confident. And it's very different now, it seems like, than what it was. But it's been good because it's allowed us to kind of change and evolve with the times. And now with some of these groups back online, some with Cornerstone, where we have the youth empowerment program, we're breathing some new life into that. So we have that program going on. And then Gene's also got...
my background is Olympic weightlifting, sports performance. So, we've tried to sprinkle in some of these Olympic lifts, which require a great deal of mobility, technical proficiency, and it can be quite intimidating for people. And to a point, where they don't have confidence in themselves, and then day by day or week by week, they start to see, wow, I can actually rack a bar up here.
And it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, exactly, it doesn't hurt.
It might be a month.
Yeah, exactly. And then, sprinkle in some plyometrics, jumping, bounding, typically things that you would reserve for, that's sports training, but general population needs to do it. Just
it's movement.
Yes, exactly.
It's movement. I think we're in such an age of everything is so much structure and so confined and so labeled. Oh, you got to move, and when you stretch, it's got to be like this, and this. It's like, how about we just move?
Exactly. Now, I remember.
How about we just move? You know what I mean? Like, let's get rid of all that garbage and noise.
Especially since we're such a static society. I remember I was at a webinar for the Chamber of Commerce, and it was about how to sort of improve your posture and not feel so bad at work. And first thing, it was a chiropractor. The first thing he said, the number one thing is you got to move.
Period.
If you don't move, your muscles and your body just tightens.
Mind, everything.
Every day is a fight against gravity, and if you put yourself in bad positions, you're teaching your body this is how I need to sit, stand, walk, everything. So you need to retrain yourself. And what better place to do it is at the gym.
Yes.
And I think that youth program is going to be wonderful, because I think we're seeing in children, with the rise of internet and video games, they're not going outside and moving around as much.
And every other disease is plaguing not just the old people now, but young people. 100%.
And I think parents want to make sure that when they send their kids to a program like this, it's safe for their bodies. We're not trying to load them up heavy or anything. We're trying to get them to move.
Just move. It's real simple.
Teach them
hop,
how
skip,
to
jump, bound.
And eventually that might transfer into something that they're doing, some activity, some sport. And again, it's about confidence as well. You know, kids need that level of confidence.
Yes.
And they're going to be in search of it. And why not do it something where it's just natural movement?
Positive.
And the better you feel about yourself, the better you often feel around others. And I think that especially
Exactly.
translates when going to the gym and working out.
Yes, and we make them go internal, not external. They're used to going external and looking outward for those things of happy, joy, so on and so forth. But really, when you go internally with movement, I can do this. This feels good. I like this. And you're right. And all of a sudden, the endorphins and how you carry on and respond with other folks dramatically changes those sort of things. Movement is medicine. I mean, that's the whole key. And so, yeah, I just think we try to create an environment where no matter what your age is or where you're at, like you can do this. We got to find a foothold somewhere, you know. And then once you find that one in, everything changes. Everything changes.
Yeah, because you find that passion for something, and then before you know it, your mind opens up to all the other things that you might enjoy doing.
Well, with these things that we do enjoy doing, but we let the world kind of rob and erode away our joy, our happiness, because now we got to be a parent or a provider or a this or a that. And in all those things, as we evolve, we lose that little bit of joy of who we are over time, of letdown of friendships or relationships or whatever ships it is over time. If we don't learn to go internal and find out who we truly are or what truly makes us tick, if once we can examine it from the inside to the outside, literally that's, and for us, the gym and movement and weightlifting, but that's just because it's our way of being able to connect and use, that's our gifts that we get to bring and share to the table that we can, with anybody and everybody, because everybody needs to feel, and that's I think that goes back to the community that we're all yearning for. So where now you're using soaps and drinking things and using stuff, taking baths with not only coffee and things, but it makes you feel good. It makes you feel alive. It brings awareness to who you are. And when you get rid of the chemicals, whether it's through soaps and things or whatever foods it is that you're eating or whatever pollution of music that you're listening to or TV that you're watching, once you start to understand at the most basic level that we have to address those things first, and then the gym underlying with that conversation of TV, food, what you put in your body, that it has to be all encompassing. And then once it literally, your world changes. You go from, oh, I can't, to how big and how much. You know, and then when everybody else gets to see that from you, how could they not want that in their life? How could you not? I think we all desperately yearn for it, but we just don't communicate that very well. And even since COVID, it's been even worse with communication. So how do we learn how to navigate that again? I think that gives us small businesses an opportunity to really say, we're here, we love you, and we're going to try to do our best to meet you where you are, and hopefully you'll see the value in that, or tell whatever. We get to bring our gifts to the table then at that point, and then that's all we can do. The rest, people and the Lord will see fit with what He does with it.
Exactly. And I know for the kids especially, I mean, 8 to 18-year-old boys and girls.
And we can be super even flexible with that. And we've had kids in literally 4, 5, and 6 that are very mature. That I was like, this looks like a little midget, but was like 5-year-old, but walked around and was like, I've never seen a child like this before. So if they have that kind of old wisdom or old soul about them, it doesn't matter what their age. If it's something that you think that they want to do,
every component of fitness is trainable at any age. It's just where to apply, certain training stimulus. You're not going to get an 8-year-old or an 11-year-old big, beefy, muscle bound, right? But you can teach them how to jump and transfer energy and absorb impact of landing, all that stuff. That's stuff that they do on the playground, So we're just doing it in a more structured setting at the gym.
But structured, but freedom.
Exactly. We got 2 audience questions for you. So Timmy Esperanza Cruzcamp is watching the show this morning. Thank you, Timmy, for watching. So she says, first off, it's refreshing to hear that Justin and his team are not only focused on strengthening the body, but also the mind. And she asked 2 questions. First, what should I expect the first time I come to the gym? And which should I do first, cardio or weights?
Well, I would say the first thing you're going to expect when you come to the gym is we're going to talk to you. We're going to get a sense of where you're at in life, where you're at in your training goals, your fitness goals. We do want to see you move. So we'll start out with some light band work, foam rolling, basic movement. And if we we can kind of see that you're pretty competent in your movements, we might get you a bar or get you a dumbbell. We see if you're struggling with flexibility issues or just cannot hinge properly or squat properly. We're going to teach you how to do it, you know.
So it's really like that kind of unique, tailored to what your needs
Yeah,
are.
we could have a group of 10 in there, and you come in. We're not just going to throw you in the mix. The beauty of it is Justin can take those, you know, well-trained members that we have and kind of run with them, and I can go off with the new person walking in, or vice versa. You know, we have that ability, that flexibility.
That's awesome, and I love. I mean, we were talking with Mandy beforehand, who says the gym family loves Gene.
All right.
Thanks, Mandy, for watching. Thank you, Katie Pearl, for watching the show this morning. And talking about that, you guys also work with sort of Cornerstone Youth Empowerment, which is sort of the nonprofit that works with the gym to help the youth who need fitness but can't afford it. And I just love the idea that you guys are also sitting and saying, all right, if you're having some trouble, this is so important. We're going to also share this with you.
And I think
just
that goes
ourselves.
back to small businesses in your community. I mean, we give as much, we give probably more than anybody else, or, you know, from what we have and the resources that are available. And so I think when you keep it close and in the community, you give where you can, that's creating the community that we yearn for. Like if these kids can feel confident in their movement, we can talk to them and we have those opportunities to be able to have an impact. Absolutely, we're going to take advantage of that sort of stuff. And we'll figure out the rest later.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll figure out the rest later.
Which is fantastic. And I think you're going to say something.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing just going back to what you were saying before, because so many times I think people get a default feeling of going to the gym. It's like, oh, they're just going to throw me dumbbells, bar, lift. You guys make it personal.
It has to be.
Exactly,
Taylor,
yeah.
it's everyone's unique. Everyone needs a unique set of, I guess, whatever training that they need.
Yes.
And I love how you make it so personal. Like everyone has a personal journey.
For sure.
It's not just going to the gym and building muscle. No, it's a personal journey of growth, embodying, and it looks like it's spirit. Exactly.
It's a hard first step just to even make the commitment to go to a gym,
It is.
and then seeing all these people working out, doing things that you probably think you can't do.
Yeah.
Even the gym equipment can look intimidating. So we want to try to offset that and make you feel like you could be a part of this, and you can just be healthier, be more fit.
Exactly.
And the thing too, when we're trying to create a brand at the gym that when you work out there, you look a certain way. You're kind of a badass, like to a degree. Like you know yourself and what you bring to the table and how to interact, because all those things are kind of a requirement at the gym. You don't have to be perfect by any means, but you got to be open to learn and be able to support others that you might not generally, or fist bump or high five or load a bar or help be a part of a team that's maybe a little different, looks different, believes different than from what you do. And so that's another kind of a stipulation at the gym. When we say openness, they're open to be working out, but also too open to how to have dialogue and build relationships and how to navigate things in your past that might have caused you fear and anxiety, but now how can we unpack that as an older person instead of a 12-year-old, and how can we see that through our 30 or 20-year-old lens and be able to now kind of pause where that is and start to unpack that in a sense of, wait a minute, it doesn't always end up bad, or it's not necessarily this. You know, we only have our experiences to go on. A lot of times in gyms, people feel the gym is bad, or it made me feel. It's like, but a lot of that stuff, what we feel is from past experiences. So actually,
Yeah,
it's
we're
not the
bringing that to
gym.
the table.
Exactly.
Not the
yeah.
gym. What is it about that made you feel? And then from there, how can we dissolve that so we can use our 40-year-old wisdom or 30-year-old wisdom to unpack a 12-year-old issue? You know, and then it's like once you do that in the groups, when you start to do that, you start to develop people and strength in every aspect, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa. You literally, when I say you're around a bunch of badasses, you are. You know, because everybody's got that mindset, but everybody is so personal in their own walks of how they do it, but yet we need the group to be able to do that, because it's your experience, and everybody else's experience that allowed me to be able to expand and grow in the ways with that's been my shortcoming my whole life. And so now when it changes everything. Well, how do you eat, or how do you deal with stress? Or this is why I do this, and next thing you know, it's like, wow, you feel like at 40 years old, you mean I can still do and have this much joy and fun and be excited about life and relationships? Yes, absolutely so. But it seems like if you pay attention to the world, what that tells you, it's the exact opposite. And that's why we say you got to go inside and not outside. We can't look out here anymore because we obviously know that there's nothing out here that cares for us the way that we need to be cared for in here. And I think that's where so much of that struggle comes from. And at the gym's a place to create where it's all encompassing, and we're going to learn how to unpack and move through all that, so navigate all that, because at the underlying, if we can get to that level, people change, people's hearts changes, and the community changes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, from the inside out.
From the inside out. From the inside out.
Yeah.
And you guys too, as a business, also grow and change.
Hopefully.
And do that. I mean, I know.
It's a byproduct. Hopefully.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I know you've got a new space coming to Woollen Mills
Yes.
next year.
Yes.
I think there's a new space at the current gym itself, like a lounge area that people can also take advantage of.
So we've been kicking some new ideas around, so we're going to get so the room used to be for massage, your chiropractor, soft tissue work, and now that didn't work out too well, and that's okay, because small businesses, we get to kind of, if it don't work, we find something else. We got plenty of ideas. That's not the issue at all.
Exactly.
So now we got a TV, and we're going to get a PlayStation. It's going to be a place where kids can come in, or actually kids, I'm going to go play myself, can get online and play and hang out either before their session, after their session, or just create that sense of, like, if your home life or things aren't maybe what you're needing at the house, then maybe this could be a place where you can come in and hang out and learn and be a part of and learn how to share and be happy and confident and all those sort of things. So that's one of that new space at the gym. Yeah. And with the CYE, trying to tie that together, it's just so when the kids are there, if they get there early, they get to hang out. Well, at least we know where they are. Yeah. They will come. Exactly. They will be there.
They will be there.
Where's Josh? He's in the back room playing games. Perfect.
Perfect. We know where he is. You guys still getting some props. Karen Wolf says this is a great dynamic duo of coaching.
Thank you.
And Kimmy asked another question, which is a really interesting one that I think a lot of people may be thinking. She says, as a former athlete, how do you guys work around past injuries that may intimidate people from trying
That's
something
so
again?
easy. I mean, in a sense, everybody's got injuries, whether you're an athlete, if you breathe and you're human, and you don't even have to play a sport when you get injured. You know what I mean? So that's just a way. I think that goes back to some of the labeling and stuff, like or a doctor said, you're not going to ever be able to squat again because you did this. Bullshit, sorry, but that's so unacceptable. But like, people regard those people in such regard that when they say that, they don't want to squat or they think that's bad. That's the farthest thing, as we know, from the truth. And so what we do at the gym is, when somebody comes in, kind of answer your question, is we meet them where they are, figure out what it is that you need. If we're tight in certain areas, we'll loosen it up. If we need mobility, stability, we address those sort of things, but we interweave that all in with kind of a strengthening conditioning. And so in the beginning, it's a little bit more towards the conditioning movement side, and as you start to move better and you build a conditioning base from there, we start to up the ante. And nobody thinks they want to lift big weights until they start moving and they feel good and they want to add 5 more pounds. But I don't want to get too big. Shut up. You're not going to get too big. That is such a joke. Like, I mean, it's a reality, but it's like, nobody thinks that until they get in there and all of a sudden they feel good and they're hitting on all cylinders. Yep. Hey, can I go up another 5 pounds, or let's do this? I mean, we see that.
Well, I mean, I was just going to add that we have several members who come in and have a bad shoulder injury from football or baseball or whatever it is, or just name it.
You name it.
And the great thing about exercise is there are so many different variations that you can throw at them. So if we're working with a bar overhead, maybe you're not going overhead. Maybe you're just on the ground and doing something differently.
There's a variation.
Yeah, there's a variation.
There is a variation.
You can't come and say, all right, I have a shoulder injury, so I can't use my arm at all, or I can't do this or that. We're the trainers. We'll let you know. Yeah, we got you. Exactly. Exactly.
That's fantastic. And then I know there's also a way to participate. Isn't there like a live Wednesday workout as well that you guys do if you're kind of like want to test the waters?
Yeah, we've been trying that out. Basically we just take the members who are there, we'll go through our workout, and we'll just try to explain why we're doing something. Why are we doing this many sets or this many reps or this load or whatever it is. And, get to hear Justin talk philosophy all the time.
Just run my mouth. I just run my mouth.
But
it's
yeah.
Great insight.
Yeah.
So if you're intimidated because of big crowds or because of this or I can't, all of a sudden, we're hoping that will just give you a little glimpse, a little taste of like, oh, wait a minute, they do. This makes sense. Or I haven't heard it like that before. Or I've got a knee injury. And you mean you could still do, hopefully that's just another way that we can intrigue or entice. that just kind of will get rid of that fear, anxiety.
Build that confidence a little bit.
Yes, yes. Oh, wait a minute, I can't do that. Or wait a minute, she looks like I do. Or wait a minute, he's 50-year-olds too, and he's in there as well. And so hopefully, like I said, it just gives it's only an hour, but it just gives a little small insight to how we do and very explained why and how come, and kind of give some, because once the people understand why, then you don't have to explain. I mean, once they understand, they want to do it. You educate them, you bring them up to speed, and once they understand, why wouldn't you want to do it?
Exactly.
Like I've never had anybody leave the gym and said, man, I wish I would have came on today. Never had somebody say that. It's always, I'm so glad I came. I was in such a bad mood, or I felt like this, or my knee hurt, and I feel so much better now. I'm like, imagine that.
Right.
Imagine that. Right.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's always great. And just before we let you go, definitely want to encourage people. The gym also has been nominated for Best of CVille.
Yes.
In the category of Best Niche Gym, I would have just gone Best Gym, period. But Best Niche Gym will work. You can go there and vote for it. And Justin also nominated for Best Personal Trainer. So you got 2 different nominations. So the community definitely recognizing
Absolutely.
the great work that you guys are doing at the gym.
Thank you. And also, too, thank you guys for what you do to sit here and hear Amanda's story and what she does. At first didn't know anything, and I was sitting here and just so inspired. It's so awesome. And I think that's what I love about humans and what we can do when you're finding out and you're passionate and you know who you are and what you bring to the table and you're open. It's like it completely changes the dynamics of how we navigate life. And we wish we could all have a place every day like a farmer's market where you could go and have that kind of conversation or dialogue or learn or insightfulness or just hear somebody else that loves what they do and how they're navigating life in that aspect. It's like, man, I want a piece of that, but for me,
Exactly.
you know,
it's the beauty, I think, of small business entrepreneurship. Is people are in it for the passion and what they can do for the community and for others.
Yeah, and we thank you all for highlighting that and
thank
doing this, what you do. We wouldn't be able to be so connected and intertwined without that sort of stuff.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Thanks for the
appreciate
opportunity,
that
for sure.
tremendously.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you both for
Yes.
coming on
Yes.
so
Thank
much.
you.
It's
It's been
always
absolutely
just
great.
such a
Likewise.
pleasure. Thank you both. Just always feel inspired.
Yes, that was great. And I think I have to listen to Justin and Gene. I think people now are going to realize that working out in the gym, it's not just all about the weight and lift and building muscle. You're not looking to, look like one of those guys that we just watched Top Gun Maverick. It's like, you don't have to look, it's not all about looking like you're going to play beach volleyball and with the muscles pounding and like the sweat dripping and the 6 packs. It's also a spiritual journey. You're building confidence, you're building yourself. And I think that's wonderful.
It is. It's a fantastic thing to do,
Yes,
and just why we love being here on Today Mañana.
Exactly. So definitely, go vote for the gym. Was it Best Niche Gym?
Best Niche Gym, as
then
well as Best Personal Trainer
Justin,
for Justin.
2 amazing people.
Be sure to do that. And thanks for everyone for commenting. Vincenzo Giambanco, thanks for watching the show this morning. Really appreciate it. And from one set of entrepreneurs who love what they do to another. Yep. We're really excited to have on the show this morning Jeff Kamrath. He's the owner of Aqua Hand Car Wash, and he's back on Today Mañana. Jeff, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And now the owner of Aqua Express Car Wash in Zion Crossroads.
And now I was about to ask that. You had it right there. One of my questions is, tell us about the new spot in Zion's Crossroads.
Oh, it's going great. We're a little over a month in. We've started off hot. The community's really receptive to what we're doing. We're doing a lot of great work with our employees to get them up to speed. We have some great managers out there, which is always crucial, as we've kind of talked about on the show before. And it's going well. We're learning the equipment. We're learning how to kind of service it, maintain it, and do all those types of things. And then at the same time, learning how to manage both businesses on my part. So, and again, it goes back to management leadership on the other side. At Charlottesville, we have an unbelievable team, general manager Jared, manager Chris, and some of our assistant managers, Sean and Patrick over there, and Brandon are just doing awesome work for us and helping us kind of keep things growing in that perspective. So it's great. And then hearing, what everybody else is doing, it's so fun to come into these sessions and get to participate with other businesses. I don't think I've had any repeat experiences, so you get to learn about how everybody else solves problems and thinks about the community and service. It's just really intriguing. So, again, as to reiterate what Justin said as he left, which is thank you guys for the the opportunity and the format to
appreciate
talk to folks.
Appreciate it.
No, we love
Yes.
just having you guys on.
Yeah.
Just we learn so much
Exactly. Yeah.
as well. Just every business, I think, is unique in its own way in what they're doing, where they are in the growth
How
stage.
they solve problems.
How they solve problems,
Exactly.
And yours is always interesting to talk with you and learn. Just you're now entering that kind of growth phase of like, hey, I had this one location and now it's two, and the challenges and opportunities that presents for a small business.
Sounds like these guys at the gym are going to get to experience that too.
Yep.
So I'm excited for them. It's going to be great. Problem solving is where it's at. I mean, that's basically running a business at its core. You can define them as goals, but they're really problems you have in your head. I have these goals, I have these ideas of what I want to do, but it's really a problem set. And how are you going to solve that?
Yeah.
How are you going to get to that end result, that goal? And how does that goal shift over time? Like what's possible? And you can set some numbers or some ideas in your head, and then halfway through you realize I'm going to either blow that out of the water, I may not, or there's a different mechanism and vehicle for me to get there. And how do I adjust? How do I, make a course correction? Or, to speak to, you guys were saying you watched Top Gun Maverick, how do I make an in-flight correction?
Exactly.
Which I saw, which is
fantastic.
Fantastic
Yeah,
movie.
fantastic.
Highly recommend. No spoilers.
No. Yeah. But it was fantastic. You are also getting the love from Mandy from the gym. Says she loves Aqua CVille. They're always so thorough with car throughout the week. So she said 2 kids can do a number on a car in just a few days.
Yeah, it can. I love mom cars because they're the most gracious. My wife is one of them. She is frequently shuttling the kids around. I do my fair share as well, but her Suburban, sometimes. I have some friends with Suburbans, and you get your hands on them and you realize, this thing needs some love. It's going to take a little bit of time. And that's one of the things we're kind of always balancing at this time of the year, going into summer especially. We get busier. As you go through the early spring and the winter and even the fall, you have your regulars, you have your regular folks that come, and they understand how it works. But you go into the summer, you get some of those folks who maybe have, push that, kick that can down the road a little bit for cleaning their car, and then they come in and we have to kind of teach them. This isn't going to be the drive straight through. Yeah. You're out in 5 minutes, and this is we're gonna go to work here, and we're gonna get this thing looking the best that we possibly can. It may not look like a brand new car, but we're gonna make it look the best it possibly can, and that sometimes takes a little time. Sometimes quality comes at the expense of expediency, and even though we try to still respect folks' time, it's one of those kind of tricky times of the year where it's probably the one time of the year we actually probably get our most complaints because we have different customers that haven't maybe come before. So it's kind of interesting how we manage that, and then also how we take that feedback. For instance, I'll review with our managers how do our reviews goes, how's our feedback going. Oh, we've got a couple of bad reviews, or we had some complaints in our into our review system, and why is this? And sometimes there are things you have to address. There's things you have to say, hey, we need to make a correction here. We need to make an adjustment. Let's talk that out. And sometimes it's, we're just at that busy time of the year. We're going to get some of those. So it's interesting how you kind of have to have a little bit of perspective of
in some ways, not every bad review, depending on how it is means you have to change something. It could just mean, okay, this customer kind of needs that education for what this is.
I just need to be aware of it.
Yeah, be aware.
And also, can we communicate better? I think that ultimately is where it most always falls apart with the communication, right? It's like, for instance, if somebody's expecting, for instance, we do like appointment bookings. Well, they book in a certain window, but it's a car. Each car is different. It's not easy. Some appointments we finish faster than their appointment window, and some appointments they just take longer because maybe the car before them was in a really bad shape or whatever. So point being is, but communication. If you start to anticipate and see that maybe you're going to miss a window, it's like, can we be proactive? And sometimes we're human. We make mistakes, or we get busy, and we kind of just things go kind of slip past you. But always kind of trying to own the communication standpoint is a good practice to have. And so we've really tried to work on that. And again, we're not human, but
Yeah, no, it's what happens. And I was curious, you mentioned coming into summer, and I was going to ask, what are some of the changes that happen in summer? I mean, are there?
I could think of one already. Is that every car must be green that's coming into
pollen,
because
yeah.
the car,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like one day it's like your car is just like normal. The next day feels like it's just green.
That's right. Yeah, we're looking forward to pollen season every year. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's a
you're
good
the
time of
only
year.
one. 'Cause Alex and I definitely not looking forward to
No,
pollen.
it's true. It's funny how you can see when it hits different times in the year. For instance, like this year, it kind of was delayed, and then it kind of blew through quick. It was delayed. It came later in April, whereas I think a few years past, I can remember driving out the country and literally seeing pollen just like riding the wind, and you're just like, oh my goodness, and it's like 2 or 3 weeks long, but. You get that kind of drifty pollen. It kind of sticks around. It's you kind of plan for it. The other thing that you start to see is you get your big holidays in the summer where people are going to be traveling. They're in the car. So Memorial Day, the week leading up to Memorial Day is always probably our best week of the year. Same with July 4th.
Yeah.
Same with Labor Day type of situations. And so you kind of plan for that. The other thing, too, is for us is the daylight's longer, the day's longer, so we actually extend our hours. But the tricky part on that is you get to the summer, it's 98, 100 degrees, and some of these guys, they want to work full-time hours, but physically it becomes really challenging
Just
to
that
work a
middle of
full-out
the day
work week because
section
it's
is
so
really
hot.
hot.
And so last year we actually went out and you guys remember the tent out at Bodo's when they were doing drive-through? Well, we're staring at that tent year-round or during COVID, and I'm like, that's a great idea. So I walked over, I talked to the Bodo's folks. They told me who they worked with Skyline Tent Company to come out and put the tent out. So I called them. They came and brought a tent out. We ended up buying the tent from them, which is awesome. We really appreciate that from those guys. We ended up buying the tent from them it's temporary, but we have the situation, so it can't go anywhere. But that gives our guys some respite from the heat. Get the shade, but also from the cars because the cars dry so fast in the summer. So it's kind of it's a dual purpose, which is really helpful to have. So we do things like that. We do the low hanging fruit solutions too. Every year we buy brand new gallon water jugs, igloo water jugs. And we hand those out to the team. So that's for them to take home, fill up with ice and water.
Yep.
Because we don't have the ability to put an ice machine or a water machine out there. So, we have water and all those types of things, but if you're going to fill up 20 guys all day long, so we do those types of things as well. So those are just simple things.
Summer heat's always been an issue. I remember, when you're growing up and you're always washing the car, it's like, for me, whenever I did it, I'd put my bathing suit on because it's like halfway through, you're just putting the hose in you're washing yourself.
Well, that'd be like playing baseball in the summer too. I'd come home and literally my mom's only rule was just take your dirty pants off before you jump in the pool, and it would be full unit after that. I'd be jersey, hat, sliding shorts, socks. I didn't care. I just wanted to be in the pool so fast.
Exactly.
It was so hot.
I know the feeling for sure. But it's just it's funny because I think it's also, like you said, the communication piece, because what you're doing with the hand car wash, it's almost like you would never go through a Burger King drive-through and expect a gourmet meal. It's to be like, oh man, or you would never go to a fancy restaurant, conversely, and be like, man, how come my risotto didn't come out in 5 minutes?
Yeah, why is there not a fast food line?
Yeah, why is it taking 20 minutes? Because it's sort of like that communication of, okay, when I'm going to the hand car wash, I'm getting something of a higher quality that's more in depth, but ergo takes more time.
Yeah, and so again, in communication, it comes back to it. What we've tried to do, though, is we've tried to make some changes that honor people's time in a certain capacity. So, for instance, our membership sales have really gone up because we've actually limited our Mondays and Tuesdays to only members and only appointments. So you have to have an appointment to get a car wash. And the only time we would even take a walk-in on those days if we have an appointment slot available, and we'll turn people away. That doesn't always go over well with new customers, but it's one of the things we're trying to do. We've talked about extending those into more of the week. We also really work with our customers, and I don't know any other place that does this, but we'll tell them, here are the busy times of the day. 9 o'clock, if you're not the first car in line, there's going to be a wait because usually people are lining up at Cookout. There's 6 or 8 or 10 cars, and if you're not the first car in line, all of a sudden we just flooded the lot with 8, 10, 12 cars. If you're the 6th or 8th car in line, it's going to take a minute until we can start getting the flow out. Once we start to get in that rhythm of the day, it kind of starts evening itself out. And it's a challenge, but it's you can't solve every problem. All you can do is try to communicate what you have going on. But we've never tried to be the fast place. But we do try to respect people's time in that capacity. So those changes have really helped as well.
Are there certain services or things that you offer that you see people take more advantage of in the summer? When they start requesting more?
Well, they typically do like the undercarriage less because there's no salt on the road and things like that. But you start to see people doing the waxes and things like that because a darker vehicle, that UV light gets on. If you have any scratches in the paint and any UV light starts to get in there, you start to fade out and bake out that paint. That UV ray will really damage that undercoat paint versus the clear coat, which is a protective layer. So if you get a nice like ceramic wax on it, it really fills in that damaged area. So even though you may not be able to see it to the human eye, whenever you wash a car, right, people there's a misnomer that a hand wash on a car is you'll never damage the car. Well, anytime you put any medium on the car, whether it's a cloth rag, whether it's a wash mitt that's brand new, clean, hasn't ever been used, with soap as a lubricant or foam as a lubricant, they're all abrasive technically to the paint. And over time, they can and will damage the paint of your car. Now, obviously with a hand wash, it should be a much slower process to do that. But whether you go through our express tunnel in Zion Crossroads with the mitters that are spinning or an old school cloth brush that drapes across your car, there's going to be microscopic damage to your car. A ceramic wax will do a great job of kind of filling in the damage. So if you were to think about, if you had a scratch that kind of looks like this on the paint, the ceramic wax will actually fill into the little damaged paint and backfill out and kind of protect it. And that helps the UV light not get into the clear coat and the underbody paint, undercoat, to protect the paint longer, and then you don't get that baked out look. So those are things that people like to do in the summer. Other than that, it's people really start focusing on their vehicles because the windows are down, the weather's nice. I'm in my car a little bit more frequently. I don't feel like it's a lost cause. Sometimes in the winter, you're like, oh, there's snow everywhere. It's a lost cause. Forget it. I'll get it in the spring. So.
In the summer, and I think it rains a little more, and you're not thinking of the pollen coming out in the spring, so you're like, it's time to do this.
Yep.
If I've been putting it off, I shouldn't put it off any longer. There's really no reason to wait anymore at this point.
Yeah, winter's over, pollen's over, let's get it clean. And some people literally come in and they get one clean a year, 2 cleans a year. They get one right after the pollen season and going into winter, and that's it. But that's fine. So we have ways we can help folks for that.
I know for us, you take the summer road trip and you come back and your windshield is a graveyard.
That's a great way to say it. Yeah. It's brutal. Yeah. And here's the thing about bug guts. The makeup of most bugs is such that when they hit your paint, if you don't get them off at a certain point of time, they dry up, but there's like little bits of chemical and acid in them, and they can start to bake into your paint in a pattern that will completely stain, not really stain, but kind of have I wouldn't call it an etching, but basically it creates the imprint, and that burns into the paint and the clear coat a little bit. So getting that off is really important after a road trip. We highly recommend as soon as you're going to go for a week or two, that's fine. That's no big deal. It's not going to damage it that bad. But if you can get to your destination, get it through some kind of wash and get the bugs off, it'd be great. But when you get back, don't let it go too long. Don't let it go too long.
I didn't even know that.
Reason 1033 now not to hate bugs. They're
the worst. They're the worst. My drive home, if I'm working later out in Zion Crossroads and it's nighttime when I come home, 64 is just all those bugs come out in twilight, and it's just like, what's the right way to say it? I mean, it is like boom, 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 boom. I mean, what's like? I don't have a great analogy for it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's just you're dot, and then you get like a big one that you hit, and you're like, oh my god, that's felt like a small bird or something. So.
Those are where the big moths where you're driving and something splat, and you're like, oh boy.
So
here we go.
But now we know what to do. Gotta go to Aqua and
come to the hand car wash, or if you're out in Zion's, come to the Express.
Go through the Express.
Our guys, we're training them to do. We have some really nice prep work. Part of the thing with a tunnel is, depending which tunnel you are, training your team how to prep a car is just as important as the actual tunnel and the safety of the equipment itself, because you get all these bugs on a car. Well, your car may only be in the tunnel for 2 minutes. It may not get everything off, so getting your team to really train up and know how to identify a car and do the front, but also the back side. We're learning, so with the equipment, if you're going down the tunnel and the brushes kind of come on this way, the back of the car is always kind of difficult to get because it's moving away. So getting the prep of a car is really critical at that stage too. So we've been learning those as well. And
so people are, even though they're going to the tunnel at the express wash, they are still getting some kind of personalized service because you have guys.
We have to load them. So there's a conveyor, and they can't see the conveyor below their hood. So they have to kind of watch our hand signals, and we're loading them onto the conveyor to make sure that when the conveyor track picks up, the car goes forward, they're lined up correctly. But at that point, we do prep the cars with bug spray, degreaser, and then scrub it down for them. Because ultimately, you come out of any car wash and you still see bugs on your hood, you're just like, it's not a clean car.
Exactly,
so,
so you guys
but it's at a much faster pace because, we could do 50, 80, 100 cars an hour, whereas in Charlottesville, we may do 80, 100 cars a day. So it's a different challenge to solve for, which has been fun.
Yeah, so less the I'm going to get it perfect, looking as brand new as possible, and more, and you're going to come out in a reasonable time with your car looking really clean.
And our memberships are a little, what I wouldn't say affordable, they're different, right? So, for instance, our highest membership is $36 a month for the top wash, but there's no full service out there, right? It's all self-serve vacuums, which are free. It's self-serve towel service, which is free, but still it requires the customer to take the initiative to towel off their car at the end if there's any residual water, to wipe down the inside. Whereas in Charlottesville, we're doing everything. It's full service. And part of that's by design, so it's just different. But again, we'll have customers that come. There's this one guy. If he's watching, he'll know who he is. He comes through every day, like clockwork, every day at about the same time. He's great. He's the nicest guy. His car's easy to clean. You just load him up, scrub him a little bit, and send him through, and he's good to go. And then you have other cars that you can tell they've just been on a road trip. It's been a while, and I'm going to be here for 5 minutes getting this thing ready to go.
Exactly. Yeah, you got another question. So Katie Pearl has 5 little kids. And so she asked, do you guys do like detailing on the inside to really get all her kids' snacks out of the nooks and crannies?
So in Charlottesville, we have full service detail, and that's kind of where we shifted a lot of our focus. Obviously, we have the wash itself, but we have this full detail section down at the back of the property that for us has been I wouldn't say the most fun to run, but like the most you can see the most change in a vehicle when it comes in, right? A car comes in with 5 kids, and it's she's got a minivan. Let's say, for instance, all the tracks where all the seats slide in and back and forth, those things are just crumb holders. Yep. And you get that thing cleaned out, and you see the look of just appreciation on somebody's face, and a lot of times it's a mom. Just thank you. Like I felt so overwhelmed by what I was driving in, and this looks great. My kids are never eating in my car again. I get that comment so many times
until they
go to Chick-fil-A again, and they break that rule. But no, it's been great. And then you get you may have these really bad stains, or I remember one lady came in and she said, "This will be the worst car you've ever seen." And I was like, "Well, we've seen quite a bit." And she said, "No, this will be the worst car you've ever seen." And we looked at it, and I was like, "Man, I think you're correct." She's like, "I don't need a miracle. Just do the best you can." And when she came back, it was just like she was just blown. Our guys did such a fantastic job, and it took them half the day, but that's what our guys do. They really focus. They really care about the product of the service that they provide, the end customer. And look, again, just like everything else, we're human. Sometimes after spending 4 hours on a car, they may miss something.
Yeah.
We have a checkout sheet. We highly encourage our customers, go through the checkout sheet with our checkout manager, walk through the whole car. If you see something, say something. Let us know so we can address it. And even if it passes by you, if you see something later, come bring it back to us and talk to us about it. Because our goal is your satisfaction. But, sometimes we just may miss something. So
yeah, exactly. Especially when there's so much
right.
in there, it's going to be like, dang, I didn't see that. You see it yourself. We vacuumed out the car, and then you go back and you're like, how did I not see that?
It's possible, though, as you believe it. It happens. So we really try to communicate with our customers in a way that they understand that they have a voice with us. As long as they communicate with us, they have a voice with us. The challenging part comes when you have made a mistake and the customer doesn't want to communicate with you. That's always difficult, right? It's like that's a tricky balance because, we could have done better. And we understand. If you just communicate with us, we will fix it. We will make it right. We'll do the best we can to make it right. when folks go that route. And then sometimes folks take a different route, which is always the trickiest part of the business to manage is customer frustration, which obviously like we never want to have, but it's a reality of anybody's business. I mean, I'm sure, Justin, you go to the gym and somebody gets hurt one time, it's a fluke thing. It's nothing they did wrong. It just happens.
In the customer service business, there's always going to be complaints, but it seems like you and your team know how to manage them in a way where it's like you understand the complaint, you read it, and then you adjust accordingly.
And you try to look into why did it happen.
Exactly.
Is this a consistent and a recurring issue? Is it a one-time? If it's a one-time thing, I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do other than just talk about it. But if you start to see consistency and you don't change it, well, then the fault's on you.
Exactly.
I mean, you go back to you guys' business. I mean, as you guys are evaluating, financial packages are you making good advice? Is there something that you see happening consistently that's on the negative side? Do you make a change? If you don't, then somebody's going to obviously be upset. So you have to be constantly thinking about, how do I serve?
Yep.
You go back to that word Justin said earlier in his interviews. How do I serve people? We're in the service industry, but it's not that we're just here for service of cars. We're here to serve the community. We're here to serve people to make their lives easier, right? People come to us not because they can't wash their car in their front yard. If they chose to, absolutely they could. But they chose to allow us to serve them, and we need to honor that with them.
They trust you in some ways more than even themselves.
And when we make a mistake, we got to serve them again. So with respect and humility sometimes. And it's been great though. We have awesome customers. This community, bar none, is the best I've ever had the blessing to live in. So we're
a
happy.
great community and a really supportive community of small business. I think
Exactly,
especially.
Absolutely, it really is.
There's a love of it here. Now, Jeff, before I let you go, gotta at least ask one UVA baseball. But I know I don't want to depress the audience, obviously, but just maybe some final thoughts on this year's season and expectations for next year. Because I know at least one thing that I've been pleased with is really a lot of community support came out for the team this year after that hard start. So just your thoughts on the season as a whole and what you kind of looking forward to next year.
It was a fun season. Like it really was. Watching our offense do what it did, especially early in the season, was really exciting. And I think that from just a pure excitement and engagement standpoint, that was the most entertaining season that I have seen, especially the first half. I mean, I can't remember having that kind of offensive firepower. I mean, not only did Jake Geloff just explode out of the gate, but Alex Tappan had an unbelievable season. Devin Ortiz started hot. I mean, we have top to bottom, our lineup is murderer's row. I mean, like our 9-hole hitters, Chris Newell, and he can hit the ball 420 feet.
Exactly.
It's like, who has that? Nobody has that. So anyway, point being is that was really exciting. It was disappointing to see how it ended. But as you kind of saw a season progressing, you maybe thought that maybe a pitcher short. It's kind of the feeling you had. Most teams, when you get to a regional, have that bona fide, that's my stopper, that's my ace, or that's my guy. And while we have top to bottom wonderful talent, we didn't have like that Griff McGarry who just showed up last year at the end of the year just to shove it. Or Matt Wyatt being Matt Wyatt from last year, just different, right? I think he was struggling with some injuries this year. I don't know anything particular, just from what I see. As somebody who's had an injury, it just looked like he was dealing with some stuff, right? And so what ends up happening, right, is you end up having to ride guys, Jay Woolfolk, who beginning of the year is pumping 96, 97, 98. By the end of the year, he's 92, 93. And look, this isn't a bad statement. It's just he doesn't have a fall season with the baseball team a time. Maybe he gets out there a couple of times, but he's playing football. So how does he get the arm strength and not just he has arm strength, but how do you get where he can pitch in 30 games a year with that kind of velocity? But one thing I did notice out of him, by the way, was there was a game, I can't remember where it was, but he came in one game, he was throwing 96, 97. And it was the week before they went into their first ACC series. And he was struggling with his slider and his cutter. And the next game, he pitched the next day. He threw only sliders and cutters, and I thought that was genius. And for the rest of the year, he was great with his slider and his cutter. So I thought that was Drew Dickinson doing a great job just managing pitching and understanding like, this guy is going to be a guy. They also made a change. They stuck Brandon Neek. They took him out of the rotation, put him in the back of the bullpen because obviously Wyatt was hurt and struggling. And then they made some interesting changes, with Barry coming on Sundays. I'll be interested to see what he does next year. He obviously has, he's 6'10", lefty.
Big guy.
Big guy. Has some confidence, it looks like. But going through the order the third time is the equalizer in baseball, right? Like you go through the fourth and fifth inning, and now they see what you got.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what level. You can be in the majors, and it's the same thing.
Can you get guys out the third time and being humble enough to know, like, hey, my game's not over yet. I got to go back out and compete into the sixth and the seventh inning to do those types of things. I mean, obviously you have Gursky. I don't think he'll probably be back. I think he was a transfer. I think he was a fifth year. So I don't know what the story. I don't know all the guys' eligibility to be clear. But man, you should have Geloff back. Yep. Right, or Ortiz is
offensively,
gone.
Most guys except Ortiz and I think
Tappan and Ortiz are gone.
Tappan and Ortiz are gone.
But we suppose it depends how the draft works out. We got some big arms coming in too, so I'm really excited to see what next season holds. But it was tough, You go up 6-0 in an elimination game, and you're expecting to win that, and they come back. But look, Coastal Carolina has won a national championship.
They're a good team.
They are not a nobody. Yeah. They are the scariest 3 seed I've ever seen in a regional.
That was a tough regional.
I actually thought it was one that we had a chance to win if we could go 2-0. And obviously that's the whole deal, right? If you go 2-0, you only have to play 4 games at most, win 3. You go 1-1, you got to then win 3 in a row. You play 5 games, it's a difficult road. We'll see how this weekend works out. ECU plays Texas at ECU. That'll be an interesting series. It'll be some good baseball this week. And I think we started out so hot. People's expectations were sky high. But look at the competition we were playing. We didn't really play that many great teams. Even early in the ACC season, we were playing, the bottom of the barrel guys. But look, let's give a couple people some credit. Our coaching staff is the best in the business. It doesn't mean they win every year. Nobody does.
In baseball, really, baseball is more than so many other sports. It's so hard to you can't consist. You could be a great team, a number 1 team every year, and
But now they're back in regionals on a consistent basis. Okay, got to take a step forward there. Maybe start hosting again. But let's look. And I'm not a Virginia Tech fan, but let's give Virginia Tech some credit too. I mean,
they're having a big season.
It's a state school that deserves some recognition. I mean, they're number 2 in the country right now. And from where they started to where they are, man, I'm rooting for them. I hope they get to the College World Series. I hope they don't win it, of course.
Yeah, you're not invited anymore on the show. You're not invited.
But let's give Virginia team some credit. And look, it's only going to be beneficial for the state of Virginia baseball to have Virginia Tech in state. Now there's some real interconnected rivalries from the baseball programs. That'll be fun to watch. And let's see what's some other stuff going on. I mean, obviously in the NCAA, there's the NIL stuff going on, which will be interesting to see how that plays out. There'll be some fun stuff coming down the line.
I think so.
On that, and I'll fill you guys in on some other stuff behind the scenes too.
Absolutely. No, but that's the same here. I think I'm looking forward to. I think I see a lot of offensive talent come back, and the one thing about the coaching staff for UVA is they're always good with the pitchers. Like you trust them to develop pitching well. So
it's be exciting.
It's baseball. You can't as good as you are. You can't win
Jake
every
and
year.
Kyle Teeler are Team USA tryouts too this year. So we'll see how that goes for them.
So fantastic, and I think the community. I loved the community support. So I think as long as that keeps up, we'll be.
And shameless plug, we have my son has his first All-Star game tonight.
Nice.
So
congratulations!
He's excited.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I think we'll probably get beat pretty good. We're actually the second team because there's 2 All-Star teams, so we're excited. But it's been fun to watch the caliber of play kind of start to go up, and now they start. These kids at this age, 7, 8 years old, are now starting to understand like cutoff guys and throw ahead of the runner and that kind. They're at that stage. It's been really fun. So, in terms of baseball, I get to shift from we got. Virginia baseball. Let's focus on some of the younger kids.
To the other guys, absolutely. Well, tell him we were rooting for him.
We're going to be rooting for him.
We're rooting for him tonight.
Yep.
Jeff, always a pleasure
Yes,
to
thank
have
you
you
so
on.
much for
so
coming
much
on.
fun.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us, and just thank you, the audience,
Yes.
for being with us today. Thanks, Michael,
Yes.
for hosting
well,
with me.
thank you for having me. You know,
Always-
I think we really set our audience up for summer though,
I
because
think
we
so.
you know we brought the gym on, right? So get your body out. Then afterwards, take a nice shower with Grubby Go soap,
And then
get your car washed. So you
I
look
mean-
good and your car looks good.
Exactly. Can it get any better than
Yeah,
that?
today Mañana has set everyone up for their summer plans.
Absolutely. That's what we did here today, and I love it. Love it. And next week, also going to be fun. We're going to have on Michael Lampros from Gunther's Gourmet Groceries.
Ooh, okay.
So he's gonna be joining us on Today Mañana. So just a fantastic show lined up for next week. Be sure to check out all our fantastic guests on Today Mañana that are up for Best of CVille 2022. And just really appreciate being here on the I Love CVille Network set with you, Michael, today, with Judah behind the
Yeah,
camera.
thank you, Judah.
Just always appreciate being presented by Emergent Financial Services and powered by Aqua CVille Hand Car Wash, by Sirius Craddock Insurance, by the Gym CVille, by GBS Financial Services, by Castle Hill Cider, and of course always partnering with Forward Adelante. So we just always appreciate the audience. Some great, fantastic questions today.
Wonderful engagement.
By the audience. So just really appreciate you all coming out and supporting the show, watching the show, asking some great questions, giving some props to our fantastic entrepreneurs. Thanks everyone for joining us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. But until that time, as we always say, hasta mañana.